Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a podcast exclusively designed to create more reproductive health awareness and discuss your fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. The title of today's show is Fertility Mindset Hacks, How Hypnosis and Visualization Support IVF. And joining us today is an expert in this, Naomi Woolfson. Welcome, Naomi.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Naomi Woolfson is a trauma-trained hypnotherapist and the founder of Embrace Fertility, where she specializes in supporting women emotionally and energetically through their fertility journey. After experiencing nearly 4 years of infertility, IUI, IVF, anxiety, surgery, and miscarriage before conceiving both of her children naturally, Naomi turned her personal struggle into a mission to help others. She created the Embrace Fertility Method, a science-backed mind-body approach designed to help women feel calm and confident while increasing their chances of pregnancy. Naomi, thank you again for joining me today. Your personal journey with infertility has clearly shaped the work you do. Can you share more about how your own experiences with IUI, IVF, and miscarriage led you to create the Embrace Fertility Method? And you all know how I love a method.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with endometriosis as a teenager and told that I would probably need IVF to conceive or may not be able to have children. And I was told that very, very bluntly at 19. And right from that point, I started doing my own research, finding out that women with endometriosis can conceive naturally. Sometimes they might need support. I always had that in the back of my mind, but I was like, nope, that won't be me. Get pregnant naturally. So I got married, started trying, and nothing happened. And quite quickly was thinking, oh, maybe this is the endometriosis. Maybe we'll need support. But we didn't go into doing treatment for about 18 months. And then we did. And I really, really struggled. I hated doing the injections. I hated the fact that I felt like, especially when we did stimulated IUI, I felt like the nurse Karen was getting me pregnant rather than being my partner. So actually, when we moved to IVF, that felt a little bit easier, but I was really struggling with anxiety. I suppose so many women, I was so used to getting my own way. I was taught that if I wanted something and I worked hard and I learned how to succeed at that area of my life and I put the work in, I would get the results. And so I was doing this with fertility. I was doing the supplements and the acupuncture and the herbs, absolutely stunk out the house. And I was trying to control everything and just getting myself more and more and more and more anxious. And then it was after having a panic attack on the London Underground, I was like, something has to change. And I started learning about the mind-body link. And that just changed everything for me, that I was then, it's not the fact that I'm not getting pregnant that is causing this anxiety. It's the thoughts I'm having about the fact that I'm not getting pregnant yet. Because I'd somehow convinced myself that because it wasn't happening yet, I may never get to be a mum. I may just die alone with a lot of cats. My whole future was horrific, but it was all in my head. And even though I've been told I did have endometriosis, there was still a very good chance that I could have babies. But yes, ended up then conceiving both of our children naturally after 4 rounds of treatment and then a miscarriage. And so took what I was learning, actually started the Embrace Fertility Method before I got pregnant. So the course is very much leading women back to themselves to find happiness, to feel calm and confident and hopeful, rather than being, oh, this is a list of things I did to get pregnant. I was like, these are the things I did to get happy again. And then P.S. I then got pregnant naturally. But I created the method beforehand and have been sharing that now for nearly 12 years.
Yeah. And it's not like you're against fertility treatment. The patients that you've supported of mine have gone through IVF successfully with me. So you're not trying to tell patients they shouldn't do treatment because you got pregnant naturally. And I think that is a little different than sometimes other programs that patients sign up for. Everyone wants to learn about how to get pregnant without IVF. Of course, like that would be amazing, but a lot of patients still do need IVF. And you're right, those herbs are stinky.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference as well, that a lot of the time, the support I'm offering as well is like to go through treatment. So many couples actually either stop treatment or don't commence treatment due to emotional distress rather than medical prognosis or financial constraints. That's something that I really want to change, because when we went through our 4th round of treatment, I was feeling calmer, I was feeling hopeful. It was just in a completely different mind space to go through that treatment. And because I actually filmed the Embrace Fertility Method while I was going through IVF myself, so for example, there are EFT tapping videos in there and like overcoming fear of needles. There's supportive tracks for welcoming your embryo home while you're going through treatment. So yes, it's very much about embracing your fertility in whatever way you're trying to conceive.
I've had patients listen to those while I do their transfers. So thank you for creating them. So tell me more about the mind-body connection, and why is addressing subconscious beliefs so important for those going through IVF and fertility treatments, or even trying naturally?
So our mind and body are completely intertwined, or we can have this idea that we're like a separate body, right? But we are completely interconnected. And our subconscious mind is basically everything that's going on under the surface. It's running all our physical systems in our body, and it's also helping us make decisions in the moment. So we learn something, consciously, and then we store those beliefs subconsciously because our mind couldn't process all of the information all of the time. And what can happen when you're going through treatment and you have underlying fears? So that could be a fear of needles, a fear of doctors, a fear of being pregnant, going into labor, giving birth. Each of these will be impacting then our decisions and our behavior around fertility. And this can be then we're having self-preservation beliefs. So some hypnotherapists call them baby blocks, as if it's something that you're actually creating this blockade and preventing your baby coming. And that kind of feels like, again, we're putting another layer of stress and pressure and blame on the female partner in a fertility situation. But actually what our subconscious does is it's continually trying to protect us. And so I had a massive fear of birth based on the experience my mum had with my brother, that obviously I was there at the actual birth, but heard that sort of family folklore of my brother's birth. And so that was something that I needed to work on, because I really wanted to get pregnant. I really wanted to have a baby. But this bit of giving birth, it's like, if I could just skip that bit, that'd be great. And so by bringing that fear to the surface, working through, learning about birth, re-educating myself, and then actually reprogramming my subconscious mind to say, birth can be comfortable, it can be safe, and you can do it. You're strong enough to do that. Allowed me then to go into pregnancy with a full body yes, rather than, yeah, I'm pregnant, but oh my God, now I have to give birth.
When you talk about visualization and hypnosis, these are powerful tools that you use to help fertility patients, but those things are really hard to do if you're not trained to do them. So I imagine, like, when you're talking to your clients, my patients, you're teaching them how to visualize things and you take them through hypnosis. Is that correct?
Yes. So I work in different ways. So I have hypnosis tracks, which either you can like just download my tracks, which are set up for natural cycle or IVF cycle or IUI cycle, no matter how you're trying to conceive, and you have a different hypnosis track for different parts of your cycle. So that will be guiding you through, taking you into deep relaxation, allowing you to drop the cortisol and adrenaline in your body, invite your body and instruct it that what you want is to get pregnant. With the IVF ones, for example, it would be telling your body to respond perfectly to the hormones and the injections, to ovulate at just the right time, to produce the perfect number of eggs for you, so you can be visualizing your eggs growing and each stage. And then you've got the welcoming the embryo home, and it's all about inviting your baby in and welcoming. So all of my clients, all of my patients get access to all of those tracks. And then in session, what we're doing is we're using hypnotherapy and visualization to help rewire the conscious and unconscious minds. So with the trauma release techniques, I may be asking you to visualize something that's happened in the past for us to help reshape the meanings and beliefs that you put onto that. So one client I worked with, Emily, had an ectopic pregnancy. So she kept having flashbacks, so visualizing without meaning to, a past experience of having the ectopic, ending up in hospital. And so whenever she then thought about getting pregnant again, she was having a panic attack because her mind was thinking about getting pregnant, going back to the past, seeing the ectopic, thinking we nearly died. And so her whole body was panicking and going, do not do that again. So she'd actually stopped trying to conceive naturally and was saving up to go into IVF again because that felt safer, but it also put it way, way, way into the future. And so the work there was to change the beliefs that she'd taken on during the ectopic. So pregnancy means near death, pregnancy means pain, pregnancy means loss. Reframing all of that and then installing new beliefs that pregnancy could be safe for her. Also for her to really trust her body. It was like, we don't want to completely remove anxiety. So for in that example, I would never take her anxiety around ectopic to a 0. Because that isn't what we want. Anxiety is there to serve us. But what we want to do, instead of it being like high alert, living in stress response every moment of her pregnancy, we can dial that right down to about 10%. If you get a strange twinge, if you get some strange bleeding, if you don't feel quite right, you call your consultant. You go and have a scan. You do not hang around. So that anxiety is a good thing, but we can dial it right down and have it that your mind goes to, this is probably fine. It's probably nothing, but I'm going to just check it out, rather than, oh my God, it's another ectopic. I'm going to end up back in hospital.
Right. I imagine that she had a much easier journey having gone through the sessions with you.
Yeah, it was then actually after the one session we did, the trauma release on the ectopic, the next day she felt safe to start trying again naturally. And she was still saving up and thinking about going into treatment again. But she was like, oh, instead of it being, we're not going to have any chance for another 6 months till we've saved up, she was like, we've got 5 chances in between to be going for it.
And going through treatment, as you probably experience yourself, brings up really intense emotions. You mentioned anxiety, but also it can bring up jealousy and grief. How can you transform envy into gratitude and excitement?
And this is huge. This is something that I work with every single member of the Embrace Fertility Method and every single client. I have not yet worked with anyone who doesn't feel jealous, doesn't feel envious. And that's because when we desperately want something, when we've decided that we want to become a parent and it's not happening, every single time we see a pregnant person, we hear an announcement, we see a family, our brain looks at that and goes, oh my God, that's what I want. And the reason we then feel jealous is because there's a load of other thoughts that happen next. We see that and we go, oh my God, that's what I want. What if I don't have that? That's not fair. They've got that and I haven't. What if I never get that? What if I end up alone with 1,000 cats? And our mind does this, and sometimes we're not even aware of it. But that's why it hurts. It doesn't hurt because we're not pregnant yet. It hurts because of this whole train of thoughts that we have afterwards. So if we can rephrase that, so instead of seeing what you want, turning away from it because it hurts so much and being like, oh my God, I can't even look at that because it hurts too much. I help my clients and members turn towards it and see it every time you see what you want. Imagine the universe is literally saying to you, oh, is this what you wanted? Oh, pregnancy, is that what you wanted? Oh, this amazing family, like, oh, this baby, is that what you wanted? And instead of turning away and saying no, you turn towards and you go, yes, please. Yes, please. That is exactly what I want. And I am so ready for this. Yes, please. And it can be so hard to start with, but it's so simple. So I want everyone listening just to try this. Just turn towards. But first, just to notice how it feels. Notice where the jealousy is coming from. Notice where the hurt is coming from. And go, what thought am I thinking that's creating this emotion? Is it that I feel like I'll never get that? Really feel it. This is why I'm Embrace Fertility. It's embrace all of the emotions. Embrace everything that comes with it. Feel it. Give yourself a moment. Give yourself grace. It's totally okay to feel like this. And yes, please, that is what I want. And the more you do it, and it shifts your energy and it starts opening you up and allows your energy to really expand. And it means if you do this enough, I've had clients be to the point they've actually shut themselves off from their entire friendship group because it's too painful, because everyone was having babies at the same time, and it was so painful. And she actually got to the stage using this technique and the other methods in the Embrace Fertility Method of planning and hosting a baby shower for one of her friends that was pregnant. And the day before, we were talking a lot about being very boundaried, setting herself up and having breaks throughout the day and doing to really protect herself. This wasn't toxic positivity of like, just smile through it and have a breakdown afterwards. It's very boundaried. But she was able to do this and really love that event. It was still hard. And it still was like, really wish this was me as well. But she was able to turn towards that. And now she's 20 weeks pregnant. And she's like, oh, well, they're planning one back for me now. And so the whole situation has shifted, that if she hadn't done that and hadn't gone, and now she was pregnant, she'd always be like, oh, I missed out on that amazing, wonderful experience because it hurt too much. But we can work with that and change that.
Yeah, that's so great. What are some other simple daily mindset exercises or rituals that fertility patients can incorporate to feel more calm and confident throughout their journey?
So I think that the most important is really embracing how you feel, because there is no wrong way, that there isn't negative thinking. We label thinking as negative if it's creating a negative feeling in our bodies. So if we're having a thought and we're feeling anxious or we're feeling upset or we're feeling jealous, however we're triggered, we label that as negative feeling and we want to turn away. Whereas actually, if we fully embrace it, fully feel it, we feel it, release it, move through it, pop out the other side. We're not used to doing this. We're not really taught how to do this. We're taught to, stop crying, have a sweet, or suck it up and you'll be fine. And we're also in the world of personal development where there is so much toxic positivity. And there is that like, just stay positive, like just relax, hold it all together, that you end up like bottling it all up. So really embracing all of it. Journaling is fantastic, as is emotional freedom technique tapping, where you are literally saying, you're tapping on different acupressure points with your fingertips. And you're literally saying, even though I feel jealous as hell right now, I accept myself anyway. This literally is magic. When I learned this technique, I was like, I read it in a book and I was like, I'm doing the herbs, I'm doing the acupressure, I'm doing all the stuff. You want me to now tap on my face and body? I was like, fine, fair enough, whatever. And I did it. And for me, I'd been practicing mindfulness meditation, and what I wanted that to be for me was like an off switch for my thoughts. I wanted to be able to sit down, close my eyes and literally go boop and just press mute on my mind and have complete silence. Unfortunately, that's not how meditation works. It's more about embracing all the thoughts. Whereas with EFT, I got that impact that I had a repetitive negative thought that was bothering me, and then I tapped on it and changed my relationship to that thought so it no longer created a negative reaction in my body. It was then a neutral thought. And I was like, this is actually so much better than just muting my thoughts, because I now get to work with those thoughts, change those thoughts, and therefore change how I feel about fertility. So emotional freedom technique, and have a little tutorial that we can pop in the show notes for everyone that talks about the science behind this and how to do it. And then I also have a little 3-minute MP3 called the Reset MP3. And this is a combination of mindfulness, hypnosis, NLP, CBT, and acupressure. And the reason why it's 3 minutes is it can take a split second for us to go into stress response, just like that. And that's to keep us safe. But it takes 3 minutes at least for our body to calm down, to come out of stress response and into rest, digest, heal, and reproduce. And so every day for at least 3 minutes, you are telling your body, I am safe, I can rest, I can just take a moment. And having that little MP3 that you just listen to and you reset when you need to. And there's so many little techniques in there, like one where you like hold your fists together and then open them. And that simple, like somatic technique literally instructs your brain that you're safe and you can switch yourself out of danger. So that MP3 is packed full of them. And you can then like cherry pick little bits out of it to do if you're just about to go into a scan or you're going into an appointment or you need to make an important phone call. You can just do that, reset yourself. So your most confident and calm self for making those decisions around your fertility, rather than coming from a place of fear and panic and high levels of cortisol.
Yeah. As you can imagine, have a lot of really difficult conversations with patients. And I have to center myself before I have these conversations because I know they're in fear and they're anxious. So I hope that the way I approach my conversations decreases their stress. And you mentioned that whole like just relax and it will happen attitude, which feels dismissive and it doesn't always help. What do patients need to know about science-backed positive psychology? We talked already about negative as it relates to fertility treatments.
So there's a huge difference between the kind of just really believe and it will happen. And trust me, I tried this. I was very into the law of attraction before trying to get pregnant, and I was very good at manifesting things. Like I said, I was very used to getting my own way. I would pretty much decided I wanted to win a particular furniture award. I was a furniture interior designer, and I was like, I'm going to win this award and I'm going to win the work placement. And I did. And I kept getting the jobs I wanted. I actually met Kevin MacLeod of Grand Designs fame, for those of you in the UK listening. One of my highlights. And so every time I like set an intention and then I was like, this is what I want. It might not happen immediately, but you know, within a few months, it would happen. So when it came to having a baby, I did the same. I was like, I'm visualizing my baby. And instead of getting pregnant, I got anxiety and IBS. And I was like, oh, it's not quite what I was expecting. And so I ended up trying harder, pushing harder, trying to force myself. And then I was like, oh my God, it's my fault that I'm not pregnant, because I don't really believe, because now it's been months and months and my endometriosis is getting worse and the doctor's telling me I need to go into another round of treatment. And so actually when I then started studying hypnotherapy and cognitive behavioral therapy and trauma release techniques, I was like, oh, what they're talking about there is this tiny sliver of like pop culture. It's like there's just the top layer. You really get into it and you really get into how the mind works. If you have an innate fear of giving birth, no matter how positive you are and how much you're like, this is going to happen, that's not saying it's going to block you from getting pregnant, but the decisions you're making around your fertility may be influenced by that belief. So I've actually had clients who have like their last embryo on ice, ready to go, and their doctor is saying, you're good to go, you've got the green light, everything is lined up, and they cannot make that phone call and start that cycle. And when we really get into that, it's because if they do the cycle and it's unsuccessful, that's their life. They then don't get to be a mother. And that obviously is petrifying. So they do everything in their power to not do that cycle. But they're not consciously thinking that. So it'll just be like, oh no, we've accidentally booked a holiday abroad just at the time that I'm supposed to start. We better put it off another month. And these things, and you really get to the root of it underneath. And it's because there's something there, a protection, a self-protection that is stopping them. And I say to my clients, you don't need to really believe. You don't need to really believe. Because your conscious mind is only 3.5% of the time. Your conscious mind can be running around like a headless chicken going, oh my effing word, what if this doesn't work? Oh my God. That is fine and normal. But what I'm interested in is your subconscious mind being completely on board and completely, this is what I want. It's safe for me to have this. It's safe for me to have this now. My body's responding well to the hormones. I'm picking up that injection, taking it, I'm taking my supplements, I'm doing all the things. I've had people go into their last cycle and stop taking all their supplements and just do these really strange things that they're like, but if I really believe it might work, what if it doesn't? It's going to hurt even more. And I was like, it's going to hurt if it doesn't work. It's going to really bloody hurt. But it's not going to hurt more if you've allowed yourself to believe you think it will, because it's like that self-protection. but it really won't. But allowing yourself to believe makes it easier to do your shots, easier to get up early to go have those bloods done. It makes you able to take all these steps and keep going, because the payoff, the potential of what could happen is worth it. This is why you're putting yourself through it. So you keep on going. But yeah, you don't need to have this, I really believe. That would be amazing. And when I first trained as a hypnotherapist, that's what I was aiming for. I was like, I will somehow come up with the perfect thing to do, thing to say, technique that everyone will then drop complete all anxiety and be in this space of complete zen. But it's not reality, because we're humans and we're designed to protect ourselves. And things hurt. It is bloody scary. You're having your last transfer and that could be it, and you don't know what the next step's going to be. It is really scary, but there's so much you can do to make it easier and to make it more comfortable.
Those are all such great points, because my patients tell me all the time they don't want to even enjoy and celebrate their positive pregnancy test because they can't believe that it's happening. And so they want to put off being happy about their pregnancy test until, much later in the pregnancy. So that's hard.
And that's such a shame, isn't it? Because especially if you spent like 5, 6, 7 years trying to get pregnant, and then you get pregnant and you don't enjoy it. And that's a huge intention of mine when I'm working with people, is like, I want you, like, yes, feeling worried about the next step, that is normal. But again, there's techniques we do to see you through, and we get you to the point of that you can be excited, you can share this news. I worked with one lady who wasn't planning to share her pregnancy news until she was 20 weeks. But obviously at 20 weeks, she was really, really friggin' skinny. She was like a size 6. People could tell. It was very, her boobs were gymongous. She had a giant baby belly, but she just wore baggier and baggier jumpers, basically. And everyone was like, your fashion sense has really changed. Like, what's going on there? But that is what felt safe. And then when we really got down to it, it's because she couldn't really believe it herself. So she couldn't tell people because she wasn't allowing herself to connect with the baby or connect with that pregnancy. And so we worked on that and we changed it, and we got her to the point that she was like, even if I connect with this baby and love this baby, and the worst happened, I've still had this pregnancy, I've still had this baby and this experience with this baby. Then she was fine. She went on to then have her baby, all absolutely fine. But if she hadn't done the clearing work, she might have got all the way to birth, not really believing she was having a baby. So actually connecting with pregnancy after loss, after infertility, is a really important step of preparing for motherhood and stepping into motherhood so that you are really ready there to experience all of it, rather than playing catch up with the shock that you're no longer going through infertility. Because when you're going through it, you think it's forever. And I say to my clients, I was like, you've been going through infertility maybe for 5 years. Once you're pregnant, you're not pregnant for very long. That goes really, really quick. And they're like, no, I can't imagine going quick. And then they get to a week before and they're like, that went really quick. Because compared to going through fertility treatments, it goes like that.
I talk to patients about how to prepare for IVF, taking your supplements, exercising, and avoiding environmental toxins, for example. But your work is just as important, if not more. And that's to how to emotionally and energetically prepare for IVF. What advice do you have for patients who are about to start their IVF journey? How could they best prepare emotionally and energetically?
The most important thing I feel is, truly looking at what do you need emotionally. And I've actually got a podcast series on how to emotionally and energetically prepare for IVF, so we could pop that in the show notes as well. We're so used to trying to manage IVF and put all the dates in our diary and order the meds and have everything lined up, and we end up becoming like a sort of PA to ourselves to manage IVF, especially if we're working full-time, because then we've pretty much got another full-time job of managing IVF. And so sometimes we forget that actually what we're trying to do is create new life and welcome this new little soul in. And so doing things like writing a letter to your future baby and literally let them know we're ready for you. We love you already. We haven't even conceived you yet. We have got so much love to give you. This is the biggest sign to the universe ever that we are so ready for a baby now. Come on. And then there are things like EFT, like I mentioned, and the hypnosis tracks. And sometimes that can just be saying, right, for 20 minutes a day, tools down, phone down, all my organization skills, and trying to control all of this to the nth degree, because we do that to give ourselves a sense of control in a completely out of control situation. So we try and micromanage everything. 20 minutes a day, lie down, close your eyes, listen to a track, and just allow those words to guide you into relaxation. Instruct your subconscious mind of what you want. Again, your conscious mind could be going a million miles an hour, going, but just allow it to slow down a little bit. And you'll find that the vast majority of people do those tracks, and then they actually get comments from their partner or their work colleagues on, you seem a lot more chilled out. Like, what's going on? Like, people are sleeping better. People are feeling happier. People are just getting on with their partners. Like, one lady said to me, she was like, I'm loving your tracks. I haven't wanted to punch my partner in the face for a full 3 weeks. And I'm like, I did not realize that was a side effect, but that is fantastic. I'm so glad.
That's really fun. So where can people find you to work with you?
So I'm embracefertility.co.uk because I'm based in England. And I'm Embrace Fertility on Facebook, Instagram, and Embrace Fertile on Pinterest, because you couldn't have all the letters that you needed, and just Naomi Woolfson on LinkedIn. And you can listen to the Embrace Fertility podcast on just all podcast platforms, so just search for Embrace Fertility.
That's awesome. And I would love for you to lead us through a meditation. And before we start that, though, I just want to see if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yes, so if people are interested in what I'm talking about, I run free masterclasses every month or have the replays available. All of my work is science and studied backed, and there I talk about the things that you can do and why it's so beneficial if you're trying naturally, if you're trying through treatment, if you're trying with donor, and the different things you do. So you can get that and instant access to that little 3-minute MP3 I mentioned on my website. And you can just sign up on like the front page. There's like a free class button people can grab.
That's great. Great. Well, I'm ready for your meditation.
So if you're obviously driving, walking, operating machinery, save this for later. But if it's safe for you to do so, just listen and close your eyes if it's safe to do. Make yourself comfortable that we can just go into relaxation together for a few minutes and just start taking some really deep breaths. And if it feels comfortable to do, just gently close your eyes. If you'd prefer to keep them open, just focus your gaze softly on something about 1 meter away from you. And then just bringing yourself to the present moment, the rise and fall of your chest. And just bring your full focus to the very top of your head. Down your forehead, just allowing any creases just to release and smooth out. Just bring your focus to the little muscles around your eyes. Having nothing to do right now, they can just loosen, relax, let go. Going down your cheeks, your jaw, perhaps even allowing your jaw just to hang loose slightly as you just release and let go any tension that you're holding in that area. Taking your focus down the back of your neck, into your shoulders, and then just raise your shoulders up to your ears for a second. Take a deep breath. Feel how contracted that feels. Take another deep breath. And then release, dropping your shoulders down, exhaling. You'll focus down through your chest, your stomach, your abdomen, down your thighs, shins, down to the soles of your feet. But then just coming back up to the center of your chest. And I want to take you on a little journey into your future. I want you to imagine that it's the day that you get pregnant. If you're currently in your 2-week wait, you can do this retrospectively. So just imagine that you're going back in time to do this exercise. So just imagine it's the day that you're going to get pregnant. And I want you to imagine in your mind's eye that you're in a protective bubble. And if it finds it difficult to visualize, I want you just to get a sense or a feeling of what it would be like to be in that protective bubble. And if you find it easier to visualize, just imagine what that bubble looks like around you. Maybe one of those giant Zorb balls that you run around in. Maybe it's a fine mist around you, or like a force field. And this protective bubble is keeping you safe and includes all of the beliefs, whether true or false, that you've built up around yourself in regards to your fertility, your body, what it means to get pregnant, be pregnant, go into labor, give birth, become a mum, all of these beliefs. And I want you just to get a sense or a feeling of which ones of those are causing any resistance on your fertility journey. Any that are there, keeping you safe, but also keeping you small. And I want you to imagine that you could just pick up those ones that are holding you back, as if they're bricks or blocks. And as you touch each one, they simply dissolve, they just melt away. And if that feels a little too scary or a little too much, just know that this protective bubble around yourself creates a new block in its place, but one that is more supportive and will allow you to move forward and step into pregnancy. So now just get a sense or a feeling of all of those blocks that you need to just run your hand over, allowing them to dissolve, to dissipate, to diminish. And in their place, these beautiful supportive blocks. And now just imagine you're about to take a really big step forward into pregnancy. And you're still inside your bubble. You're still protected, you're still safe. Take a big breath. Imagine taking that big step forward into pregnancy. And be that natural conception, on embryo transfer, donor transfer, whatever that looks like for you, whatever way you become pregnant. And just see that tiny embryo, or get a sense or a feeling of that embryo coming into your womb and finding the perfect spot to implant, nestling in, making itself at home and comfy for the next 9 months. It's placing one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And just saying, yes, please. This is what I want. My tiny baby nestled in my womb. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now imagining yourself walking through the 2-week wait. with that sense of hope and a sense of calm relief. Pregnant with potential, pregnant with possibility. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then moving both hands to your heart and taking 3 really deep breaths. Just anchoring in these feelings. And then whenever you're ready, just gently wiggling your fingers and toes, stretching your body, opening your eyes, coming back into the room.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Naomi. That was so lovely. Yeah, I don't think that fertility doctors talk to their patients enough about making sure a patient's emotional well-being is cared for. And it's hard because we're not trained and taught these things in school. We're trained, just like you said, if you believe it, you will achieve it. And you just have to believe it. But sometimes those negative beliefs make it really hard and create lots of blocks for patients. So thank you for all the work that you do. I feel so much more relaxed right now. I just want to go home and take a nap, but I can't. I have more work to do. But I appreciate your time and just how much passion you have for helping fertility patients. So thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for listening and making the Egg Whisperer Show a part of your weekly routine. To find show notes and a full transcript for this episode, visit dramy.org and look under the blog tab. While you're there, you can find a link for the Egg Whisperer newsletter, which keeps you in the know about fertility news. You can also find Dr. Amy and the Egg Whisperer Show on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. If you'd like to learn even more, Dr. Amy offers classes at the Egg Whisperer School, eggwhispererschool.com, or you can request a consultation on dramy.org. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing the Egg Whisperer Show with others. Keep sparkling and have a great day.